Welcome, wonderful people, to Shiro's Reflections. Before we start, I'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button and share widely so that you can be able to reach as many people who will be interested in content such as this. And today I want us to talk about August Wilson. Ring a bell? August Wilson. August Wilson was a playwright. He's deceased. May he rest in eternal peace. And he was a playwright. I think he was born in 1945 and he died in 2005. But anyway, Google is your friend. So August Wilson, he was a playwright, an American playwright, and he's very famous because he wrote plays that were actually trying, or that actually depicted the African-American way of life for the Black Americans in America. And he took the experiences about life and he actually put them into these plays. And that's why I love the arts so much, because the arts actually reflect part of our humanity. In fact, Viola Davis, when she was talking about August Wilson's work, she actually said that August took the Black American history, he took their vulnerabilities, he took their experiences, and he put them together in plays that actually allowed them to talk, actually allowed them to speak. And they allowed people to actually see the world through their eyes. But remember, humanity is humanity. As she says, August Wilson actually humanized them. And we are all humans, and we can all learn a lot from August Wilson's plays. Now, he is very famous for, I think there were 10 plays. They're called the Pittsburgh Cycle or the Century Cycle. Remember, Google is your friend. And it's a series of 10 plays that actually try to capture a moment in time in America. A moment in time in America. 10 years, I think they were spanning about each decade. He tried to write a play for each and every decade in America for the Black American. And I want us to concentrate really on one play that he actually wrote, Fences. Now this I watched on Netflix because I've not yet been privileged enough to go and watch these plays on Broadway. But I pray to God that before I depart this earth, I'll actually go and see August Wilson's plays as they are played out in Broadway in America. Bucket list. So let's come back now to Fences, because he wrote Fences, then I think he wrote, I don't remember another one, but he also wrote another one, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Again, I watched it on Netflix, and so, I mean, these two are just so wonderful movies, and Viola actually stars in both of them. Of course, she stars as Ma Rainey. Ma Rainey is a musician who actually popularized, I think, the jazz genre of music, and she was good. She was good at what she did. And she knew that people liked her for her voice, and she exploited that. And I think it's a good thing. If you have something that is marketable, I think you should get to be paid top dollar for that. And Ma Rainey did the best that she could in the circumstances that she could with the voice that God had given her. Now let's come back to Fences, because it's really Fences that I really want us to talk about. It is a play, or in this case, a movie that I watched on Netflix. And it stars Denzel Washington as Troy and Viola Davis as Troy's wife. I forget her name in the movie. But Denzel Washington is Troy and Viola Davis as Troy's wife. And there is this particular scene that is really, really ingrained in my mind. But I'll give you a little bit of context. So in this movie, Fences, it is about a working class couple in America. I don't know which part of America. And the man, Denzel, the husband, works as a garbage truck collector. So he works on a garbage truck. You know, he goes around collecting the municipal's truck garbage. And Viola, I forget what she does, but she has a job, probably a domestic, probably, I'm not sure. And so they're trying to make it work. And when they came into this marriage, Troy came with an older son who basically used to look at Troy, that is the father or the main character, the main male character in the movie. His son used to look at him like an ATM. He just used to come only when he needs money, and it was not really a healthy relationship. Troy, with his wife Viola, they got a child who really wanted to play sports. He really wanted to play football. But Troy, in his youth, had actually been a football player, and that didn't go very well because obviously he's riding the garbage truck. And so he didn't want the same thing for his son. And he was really against his son playing football. Now this I know resonates a lot with people who grew up in my country where I grew up. And when we were young, our parents actually frowned upon the arts because the artists in our country were actually not really making money. And if you wanted to go out and become an artist, it was a real struggle. And so that, resonates a lot with many of us. So Troy was saying there's no way you're going to do football. You need to put your head down to education. You need to make a name for yourself. But he really wanted to play football. So another relationship, really terrible for this man, Troy. And so he had his wife, and they were actually living at large. Oh yes, I remember. He also had a brother who was a little bit cuckoo. So another relationship that is not working in Troy's life. I'm just trying to build it up and show you that as much as I'm going to share with you this particular scene, Troy really was a man who was really besieged by a lot of failed relationships and a lot of challenges in his life. And there's nothing much that he could do about them. Or maybe there is. Being the man that he is, he decided to actually seek his happiness. Guess where? Guess where? Guess where? No prizes for guessing. In the arms of a young damsel. And so he gets to hook up with this girl, as he says, after work, He needs, a man gotta get some happiness, true or not. He needs to get some happiness. And so he goes and gets into this happiness with this girl. And the happiness actually produces a daughter. And of course, Viola, who's playing the wife to Troy, is devastated. She feels so devastated. How can her husband that she trusts, and as Shiros, we know how it goes. It feels very bad when they decide to go and get happiness in another person's arms. And so this is the scene that I want us to talk about, where now there is a confrontation between Troy and his wife, Viola. And so Troy starts actually by saying in this scene, 18 years we've been married, and 18 years I've given you my paycheck. 18 years I've been the person, blah, 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 blah. Fill in the dots. And this is how Viola responds. And when she responds in that way, in that particular scene, I feel that she spoke for so many of us. Remember, August humanizes people and gives them a voice. He gave a voice to the married woman who is in a relationship with a man who's gone out there, gotten children, and is still in this relationship. She put those feelings into words. And I'll try to remember, of course, I may not remember them verbatim, but this is the way that confrontation goes. And so Viola says, so Troy says, for 18 years I've done blah, 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 blah. And Viola starts, and she's such a good actress. She's just wonderful. And so Viola says, and what about me? Don't you, and I'm trying to speak like Viola, don't you think that I also would have loved some happiness? That I also would have loved to go and lay down with some man and forget all about my responsibilities? I wanted that too. I wanted happiness. But I chose you because you are my husband. I chose you. And it didn't take me, I chose you because you are my husband. And I took all my hopes, I took all my dreams, I took all my aspirations, and I buried them in you because you are my husband. And it didn't take me 18 years to realize that the ground is hard and rocky and that there will be no harvest out of all my dreams that are buried in you. But as the darkness engulfed me upstairs in that bedroom, I held you tighter because you were my husband. So you keep talking, Troy, about what you give. What you give in this relationship, but you take two. You take two. End of quotes. I hope I did a good job as Viola. But I want us to interpret those words a little bit. What they meant and what it really means for us as women. And in this particular case, of course, I'm talking about women who are married and women who have been betrayed in their marriages. And society will really look and say that maybe you could have done better, that maybe you should have been more beautiful. You know how you're told? Maybe you should have cooked better. Maybe you should have done all these things better. But society does not look back and see what you actually gave and put in this man. Because by the time a girl is getting married, okay, of course, she's really happy. And when you talk to a bride, she sincerely believes that her man is different. All women who get married sincerely believed that their men are different. That's why they married them. You hear that? Significant others, you hear that? She believed that you're actually different. And she took her hopes, she took her dreams, she took her aspirations, and she buried them in you. And the ground was rocky, the ground was hard, and what she's harvesting is really not what she intended to harvest. So this is what I'm trying to say, that everybody puts it in a marriage. Everybody puts in something in a relationship. There's a lot of talk about women are not gonna marry any broke man. Many women actually marry many broke men. They get money because they work together with the women and they get all this money sometimes. Sometimes the ground is really rocky. You work hard, but as Viola saw, it was still the same thing. The paycheck not enough and everything, but these women stay. They stay. They stay in this marriage, not because they cannot find better. They can find better. As Viola says, sometimes women need to escape their responsibilities, but they choose not to. They see your shortcomings, but instead of leaving, they hold you tighter. They hold you closer. All I'm just trying to say is that is the play fences. That is how that scene went. This is the information that I give you. Those are my reflections on that particular scene. And in all this, I'm just trying to say that women give and men give. And sometimes the giving is not just financial. And so it is very unfair when men look at women and say, all they wanted is my money. There are many men who have more money than you have, but they chose you. And they chose to stay because you are their husband. And so as we are going out to look for this happiness, I know there's a previous video I talked about Shiros getting happiness. Even our significant others, as you're going out to get all this happiness because you think you deserve it, please remember, there's somebody at home who has also given up a lot of themselves, their career sometimes, their aspirations sometimes, their travel plans, trying to support you so that you can become the best person that you are. And as I wind up, I want to give a shout out and an applause for all the Shiros who have decided to stay, despite the ground being rocky, despite the ground being hard, and despite the ground not yielding the fruit that we actually planted in there. Shout out to you. Let's keep holding our husbands tighter and let's keep keeping on. Bye.